Hello, people. So I feel like saying at this point, it, I just want to say this, and I know this could be unpopular with a lot of this saying could be unpopular nowadays. But now it's time to let God take control. And God is however you feel like God is. Okay? But it's time to allow God to take control. Why? It's because it's starting to become crystal clear that the economy is going to crash. And I want to say this. People say stock up on food, stock up on water. You know what? The people who are going to be behind crashing the economy, they don't have to do that. They don't have to stock up on anything. They're going to have anything they want to. They're going to be able to go anywhere they want to. They're going to be happy in their houses with their family, where everybody else is at the bottom, stocking up and trying to survive. This is a game of life. And I want to say, when people say stock up on water, get lots and lots of water, why would you ever run out of water? Isn't the earth supposed to be, isn't water supposed to be abundant? How the heck do you run out? Oh, because they mess it up. How much water can you get? Because if you have to stock up on water, that means something's going to happen with the running water in your house. So how are you going to take a bath or a shower? You remember Donald Trump said, I think it was the day of his inauguration when he made the speech, or I can't remember when it was, but he talked about water and running out of water, and he said when you're rich, you like to take showers. So it's not an option. I mean, you can never save. It's going to be hard to save enough water. Even if you want to take a bath, you know how many bottles of water that you need to pour into a bathtub? Now, a lot of people might not have to. And think about stocking up. Let me tell you something. I'm a person who knows what it's like to have to pack up and move. Where I am right now, I have a year lease and I want to renew it. But my thing is, I know what it's like to have to move around. So I don't unpack. So my thing is, I'm kind of against stocking up. And the reason why is because I know what it's like to move around. And when you have to keep moving around, if you're lucky enough to have a car, you need to carry only what you can fit in your car. Some people don't have a car and they can only fit what they can carry on their shoulders. So I'm really against this thing of stocking up. I mean, I get that you want to have something in your house in case something happens, then you have plenty in your house. But when you have these beings, these people that wants to purposely crash everything, and they want to have these pandemics going around. I don't like pandemics. This lady, what was it? Wayward Renegade Witches. She talked about the pandemic and she talked about the deity Pan. Like when people sacrifice to Pan, like I don't like this word pandemic. Where did this word pandemic really come from? Pandemic. See, I don't want to be sacrificed to any of their deities. Like I'm not interested in being sacrificed to their deities. Like ever since COVID happened in 2020 and 2021, there was a descent in consciousness. I literally saw where consciousness was taken down through a hole. Like you think you're in your body, you're not in your body, you're not where you think you are. You're really taken somewhere else. You're not really, a lot of people are not aware that their consciousness is being taken somewhere else. And this is the kind of stuff they do. They pull this stuff. I'm just not interested in their games anymore. I'm not interested. And no, stocking up on water is not going to work. How are you going to clean yourself? You're going to have to get wipes. You're going to have to find a way to constantly clean yourself, and you're not going to be that clean. I work in a healthcare facility where people do get wiped down every day. So like a lot of people who are bed-bound, they get wiped down every day with those adult wipes. But every now and then, you're going to need some water on you. Those wipes are not going to be good enough over time. You're going to, even if you're in the bed, you need to get like a bucket of water and wring on a washcloth and put it on them. Even if they're bed-bound and they only get bed baths, they still need some water on them. So I'm not interested in this stocking up. You're not making sense. How do you clean yourself? See, people, when they say stock up on water, they're only thinking about drinking some water. Do you know the people that's playing these games, do you know how long these games are going to last? They can go on for 10 years. How much water are you going to get in your house? Why don't you have drinking water? Why doesn't water come through the faucet? You got these people that want to control everything. They want to control money. They want to control the food they grow on the trees. They want to tear down the trees so the food don't grow. They want to ruin the farms. And then they want to stop people from water. Water is supposed to be the most abundant resource, but they want to control that. And the only solution people have was stock up. Stock up. You can't stock up. You cannot stock up. You can't. You would not be able to stock up on water. Do you understand how much water that you might use a day? Do you understand? These healthcare facilities. I don't even want to give this message to somebody who is like on life support. Or they not even on life support. Maybe they in ICU, but they're alert enough to know, to hear people messages, and they say, stock up, it's coming. They trying to breathe. Do you know how much water people use in a doggone hospital? Do you know how much water people, it's not realistic to say stock up. It's not realistic. Like, this game needs to stop. You cannot ever stock up on enough water. Do you understand how much water is used a day? And then you got people in hospitals, nursing homes. And you can say, well, that ain't my problem. But I get it's not your problem, but you never know what might be your problem in the future. Unless you know how to control all your timelines. And this other thing about money. Pull all your money out the bank accounts because they about to close the bank. So pull all your money out. So you're going to pull all your money out and have your money sitting around the house. You better cover your house in the blood or something to make sure don't nobody come in your house and steal your money. They playing games. But the thing about I do understand that you need to have cash on you. But to pull all your money, they're gonna crash. The banks are gonna crash, and it's gonna happen all of a sudden. And you might have like just 24 hours to get your money out. They're playing a game. They don't have to do that. The ones that's crashing it, they don't have to do any of that. They can go to a bank or wherever and get their money all they want to. They don't have to play this kind of games. It's for the people at the bottom that's gonna have to run around like that. This is a game for the people who are at the bottom. It's the ones that's at the top. The ones that you don't see, the shadow government. It's not even the ones that you do see. It's the ones that you don't see that's playing these games. Like, they love playing these games. I think they're bored. I really think they're bored. They don't have to do this. They're bored. Now, I'm going to say this because this has come to me a few years. The problem is men. And I don't mean a regular man that you might see in Walmart. But I don't know that man either. The problem is men. Some men might get offended, but who's doing this? It's men. Who wants to crash the economy? It's men. We have a problem with man. Who wants to control the resources where you have to stock up on water when you should never run out of water? It's man. Man is doing this. I'm talking about man. I'm talking about man. Man is doing this. The problem is man. The problem is man. And so with that being said, that's why I said it's time to let the Spirit of God go on and take control again. I've already made that decision. Another person can disagree all they want to. I've already made that decision. I'm talking about the benevolent God. I know some people feel like the God of the Old Testament was pretty wicked. You know. You even have some Christians that say that too. So, but there's a benevolent God too. Okay? There's a benevolent God too. And it's however you see God. It doesn't have to be somebody in the cloud that look like a man with a beard and all this stuff these pictures that you've seen and all that crap right there. No, the God is however you see God. You know it's something that's more supreme to where your consciousness and conscious awareness, you know something more supreme and it's more benevolent. It's how you see God. It's not the pictures that they painted and all this stuff, you know. Okay, but stocking up on food. But what if this goes on for 10 or 20 years? How long do you know this is going to go on? See, at this point, I'm not. And then how do you know you're not going to be wondering? How do you know you're not going to end up being a vagabond? With the games they're playing, how do you know you're not going to end up being a vagabond? Having to move around all over the place. But then when you go to shelter, with them trying to mess with the water, water will be too scarce that wherever you go, it won't be enough water. How are you going to clean yourself? You only have enough to drink every day. How you're going to be stinky and nasty. I don't think people understand how much water is used a day. How are you going to buy all these bottles? And why are we having to buy bottles of water? Why isn't the water that comes out of the tap, why isn't that safe? Because of man. Because of man. That's why it's not safe. Man are playing these games. When I say man, I'm talking plural. I'm talking about just in general man. You know this man, right? They're playing these games. They want to crash the economy. They're doing this because every now and then they have to crash the economy so they can become richer. I don't necessarily know how to explain exactly how that game goes, but that's what happened with the Depression. I think it was in the 1920s. But what they're going to do now, I'm hearing it's going to be worse than that Depression, and that was a pretty bad Depression. But they do that every once in a while, and I believe they have to do it every 100 years. So this might happen like maybe in 1929. But they have to do it every 100 years so they can get richer. They have to do it so they can continue to get richer. They're not the ones that have to stock up on anything. They don't have to ever do it. It's the people that's beneath them that have to do all this stocking up and suffering. And they want to control the resources. So now they're getting to the point where you're not going to even have enough water to drink. They want to get to the point where you have to drive remote control cars so they can cut your car off at will. They're going to get to the point where you have to get all these type of stuff, chips in you and whatever, so you can go shopping or whatever you want to do. They literally want to turn you into a robot. They can be your God. I mean, and if people keep going along with that, will stock up and get your money, that's not going to be the solution. You have to understand it's not going to be the solution. For what they have planned, if you don't have at least $100,000 in your bank account that you can pull out right now, do you know how much money you're going to need for the amount of time this is going to last? And you need to make sure you don't get robbed when you're walking around having to carry your money on you, because I don't know if you're going to end up having a place to stay. You might end up moving around place to place. You're going to have to keep your money on you. You better make sure you don't get robbed. Like, I don't want to play these games. Because what they're doing, they are playing games. But it's for their own benefit while everybody else suffer. I'm not interested in them playing God, because that's what they're doing. They are playing God with everybody else. And I want the real God, the real spirit of God to take over. I want them gone. I want the real spirit of God to come back and take over. This is the devil's playground right here. I know people want to criticize the Bible or whatever. I get it. People have their own belief system, whatever they want to believe. But something needs to happen, because something has happened where there's not enough praying, or something is going on where they can keep doing this type of stuff. Something is happening where they are allowed to continually have control like this. Something is going on. So people need to stop doing things in their own strength. You can never stock up on enough water. If there's going to be a water issue for the next 10 to 15 years, how much water can you really buy? You're going to have to get enough water to fill your whole house where you won't have room to even move around. And that won't even be enough for the amount of years that this is going to take. It's not realistic to keep saying stock up. It's not realistic. And please do not say buy seeds and plant. Where are you going to plant? If you get taken up out your house or your apartment, where are you going to be planting things if you have to be in your car, if you have a car, to move around? Some people don't even have a car to do that. They're going to be laying on the streets. You're going to be planting on the sidewalk. Like, I'm sick of that. That's not the solution. The solution is God. The solution is God. I'm going to say it. I don't care how unpopular it is. The solution is God, or whatever you want to call him. The Most High, or I'm sorry, I say him because I'm so used to this. I'm so used to this. Some people might describe God as a him. I'm saying him because I'm so used to that saying under this particular firmament. I'm so used to this word him, okay, but I don't mean a him. When I speak of God, I'm not necessarily using a him. I don't see God as a him, okay. But it slipped out because I'm so used to it being under this firmament. Is what people say so many times. And if you listen to or read the Bible, you're going to see him all over the place. Well, some people might say him, and the him might work for them. Him just might work for them. They might say, we want to let him take control, and him might take control, and it just might work pretty well for them. Okay? But I'm ready for God to take control. I'm ready for God to go on and take control. You're not going to be able to plant some seeds because they're going, okay, well, are you going to have enough seeds for the next 10 to 20 years? Are you going to have enough seed for that? Because the depression that's coming, that they are threatening to come, it's going to be worse than the depression in the early 1900s. Are you going to have enough seeds for that? And are you going to be able to stay? Do you believe when this comes, if it comes, for those who really believe it's going to come for them, you think you're going to be in the same place? You think you're going to be in your same house? Because then you're going to have to keep finding a place where you're going to plant your seeds. And when you do decide to plant your seeds, you need to be at that particular location long enough for everything to grow. And then you need to make sure nobody else come and steal it. Like, it's not a plan. The only plan is God. The only plan is God. When the Israelites was in the wilderness, they never had to worry about money. They never had to worry about food. They said, gather enough food for that day. That's what God told them. Gather enough, and I don't care who don't like it. At this point, if your solution is stocking up on a bunch of water and pulling your money out the bank and planting some seeds, like you're going to be at the same place when this stuff happens, you're going to get to stay in your place. You don't think you're going to be a vagabond? Where you going to be planting these seeds at? That's not the solution. When God had these Israelites in the wilderness, God said, and I keep saying he because that's how it is in the Bible. He said to only get what you need for that day. And the people who did not listen to God and wanted to get more food than what they needed for that day, the food was spoiled the next day. God meant what he said, to get only what you need for that day, you get what you need for that day. Then they never had to worry about money. Their feet never even got tired. I believe they were walking. They didn't have cars. Their feet never even got... Did anybody complain about their feet hurting? Like, their feet didn't even hurt. You know how people got all kinds of arthritis these days from exercise? And people have all kinds of... They didn't have arthritis. They was walking around the same mountain for 40 years. Did any of them have arthritis? A lot of them did die off. But because it's a particular consciousness that they need to die off, because they couldn't go into the promised land, because people held on to old ideas. And they could not go into the promised land. A lot of people had to die off. Their consciousness, they had to go. That particular consciousness had to go in order to get into the promised land. It couldn't go with mixed company. You couldn't go with mixed company. But no, that's what I'm saying. And I gotta go. But it's not realistic to stock up on water. It's not realistic to think you're going to pull all your money out the bank. Even if you pull out every penny you have for the next year, or 2 years or whatever to 1929 to and you pull everything out the bank. Yeah, so Trump is still going to be president in 1929, right? Yeah, to pull everything out the bank from now until 1929, to pull everything out the bank that you could possibly pull. For however long this thing might last, you still might eventually run out of money unless you are literally a multi-millionaire and even bigger, more than that. It's really, I don't like this human stuff. You're doing stuff in your own human strength. Yeah, you want to do stuff, like you want to have enough common sense. Like there is a such thing as human sense, right? That you do day to day. When you have a threat like this coming, that's when you let God go on to take over. That's when you want God to give you the answer. That's when you want God to guide yourselves. Because at this point, life needs to be magical. Your life needs to be magical. Okay? But anyway, I gotta go. And with that being said, I'll talk later.